and the Cardinals. A quick check of the standings here 3 days after the break. These two teams are involved in a 4-game series. The Cardinals a half game out behind Cincinnati, while the Dodgers are 3.5 out behind San Diego in that tight NL West. And now welcome to the broadcast booth. I'm Joe Buck along with Eric Karros. And for the Cardinals, right out of the break, they've beaten up on the Dodgers the first 2 games, and they've got Adam Wainwright, their all-star, going here today.
Not really the guy you want to see if you're the Los Angeles Dodgers. I mean, what has Adam Wainwright done since last year? He's got the most wins in Major League Baseball. He's sporting a 2.5 ERA. He's got a nasty curveball. So if you're a Dodger hitter, not very fun. You talk about not very fun. That's the Dodgers starting pitching these last 2 nights. You know, today, Hiroki Kuroda gets the ball. He's been good against the Cardinals historically. He's going to have to be great today.
That's who the Dodgers are counting on this afternoon. Kuroda against Adam Wainwright. These are 2 of the most storied franchises in National League history. And they feature 2 of the game's best hitters. Albert Pujols of the Cardinals, Andre Ethier of the Dodgers. It's hot. It's baseball. It's next on Fox. Field, and if you're sitting in that seat, you might do well to have an umbrella on hand, or you will be sweating. Feels like 105 degrees, and it is just sweltering down on the field. You go down there, and it's like the heat is just coming up through the bottom of your feet. In fact, when the Cardinals used to play in the old Busch Stadium, there was an AstroTurf field there, and some of the players' spikes, the plastic around the actual spikes, would melt into the turf. That's how hot it gets here in the Midwest during the summer.
No, I remember those days, and I'll tell you, a big fan of the grass fields right now. But I think, if anything, this is an advantage for the Cardinals because, you know, the Dodgers already down 2-0, and I'll guarantee you they're complaining about that heat.
Tony La Russa actually referenced that before the game. Said we got to go out there and act like we're just playing on a nice, cool day because you know the Dodgers don't like being here, and it is hot for anybody from L.A. Here is the Taco Bell starting lineup. for the Dodgers. Think outside the bun. It looks like this for Kyle leads it off. Then Matt Kemp, Andre Ethier, James Loney has quietly had a great year. Blake DeWitt is at second base. Casey Blake is at third. Xavier Paul playing left field for the re-injured Manny Ramirez. A.J. Ellis does the catching for the recently injured Russell Martin. We'll talk about. And Hiroki Kuroda pitches and bats ninth. And here comes Adam Wainwright, an all-star. Pitched very well last Tuesday night out in Anaheim. He's 13-5, and here at home he's been unbeatable.
Well, and when you say unbeatable, that's exactly what you mean. 9-0 at home this year. Been virtually unhittable, and it's because he has a number of pitches. That curveball as good as any of the game.
Sprint pitcher profile for Adam Wainwright looks a little bit like this.
Well, as good as he's been, Rafael Furcal, James Loney, Andre Ethier have hit him very well. So he's going to have to watch out for those three. And we just mentioned the home cooking. He's got to continue that dominance here at home where he's 9-0 this season.
This game is brought to you by Budweiser, official beer of the thirst inning. The beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, clean finish. Budweiser, it's what we do. So the Cardinals in their home whites, the Dodgers in their traveling gray and blue, and off we go on a Saturday afternoon. Furcal is first up, and right after the first pitch, he woke up this morning thinking about that. He yanks it foul, strike one. Furcal, then Kemp, then Ethier for the Dodgers, who start the day 3.5 games behind San Diego, and the Padres don't look like they're going to slow down anytime soon.
Well, not with that pitching staff right now, and there's a number of teams in that Western Division.
Here's a fly ball into right. Staggering, but back to make the catch is John Jay, the rookie outfielder, one out. He is part of the defense for St. Louis. Here's the rest of their defensive alignment. It's brought to you by Scott's in the outfield. Holiday in left, Colby Rasmussen center with Jay in right. Felipe Lopez is over at third. Tyler Green has taken over the shortstop position from Brendan Ryan. Skip Schumacher at second. Pujols at first, and Yadier Molina is catching Adam Wainwright for the 53rd consecutive time, which is the second best streak in the league behind Yadier Molina catching Chris Carpenter for 58 straight. Number 2 batter is Kemp, and that's ball one. Home plate umpire today is Greg Gibson. He's wearing a microphone for us today, and I believe you will hear a lot of huffing and puffing and heavy breathing for a guy who's not going to get any relief. He's wearing a mask, and it's 105 degrees down on the field. Davis is the crew chief. Here's a 2-0. Right down the middle, 2-1 from Adam Wainwright.
Remember, in Wainwright's last start against the Dodgers earlier this year, he had a season high 5 walks, and that's something that the Dodgers are going to try to do, make him throw some pitches, work the count a bit.
2-1 pitch is hit to the right side. Schumacher gobbles it up and gets the out. 2 gone. Joe Torre will turn 70 tomorrow. We asked him last week when we were in L.A. what he planned to do, and he said, I'm going to spend that entire day hoping that I make 71. Longtime Cardinal, was the manager here in St. Louis from 90 until 95, and then he ended up in New York with the New York Post and all the fine publications. Had Clueless Joe and headlines like that when they hired Torre, who was out of work, and 12 years later, 12 postseason appearances later, 4 rings later, he's joined the Dodgers and taken them to the NLCS 2 straight years.
He's done a wonderful job and really provided some stability for this Dodger organization, and really, more than anything, some credibility.
0-1 the count on Andre Ethier, the All-Star, and he comes up empty, strike 2. And when you talk about lineups trying to make a pitcher work, Ethier leads the league in hitting. It would be in any pitcher's best interest on the other side, Kuroda, to go right after hitters and try to get off that mound as quickly as possible. Count's 0-2. Ethier ready, so is Wainwright, and that's too far inside, ball one.
Well, you mentioned getting off the mound, and what you're doing is you get your players that are out in the field, you get them out of that sun, because if they're standing around out there and then you expect them to have to make a great play, you don't really count on it. Do them a favor by working quick and throwing strikes.
Thinking of any particular pitcher from your playing days as you say that? A breaking ball strikes out Ethier. That pitcher will be named. When we come back in the bottom of the first, Cardinals take on Kuroda. Perfect start for Wainwright. We'll see Pujols in a second. strike outside the bunt. Felipe Lopez leads it off. Colby Rasmus bats in the number 2 spot. He's taken that over. Albert Pujols has taken over Major League Baseball pitching since he came up 10 years ago. He hits third. Matt Holliday cleans up. John Jay in right. Yadier Molina does the catching. Skip Schumacher is at second base. Adam Wainwright pitches and bats 8th. Just because Tony La Russa likes to be different. And Tyler Green is in the number 9 spot playing short. And here is the right-hander Kuroda.
Well, Kuroda struggled his last 3 starts. Hasn't been very effective. And historically, he's been very steady for this Dodger ball club. And especially after the last 2 starts by their starters, he's going to have to be good today.
Here's the sprint pitcher profile for the 35-year-old.
And in order for him to be good, he's got to have that forkball working, induce a lot of ground balls. We say it's not going to be a Holiday out there. He's got to stay away from Matt Holliday. Kind of wears him out. 7 for 17 with a home run.
Felipe Lopez shoots the first pitch down the left field line into the corner. That's a good start for St. Louis. And Lopez will cruise into second with a first pitch double.
This is a fastball that's up in the zone, and that's the last place that Kuroda wants to be, whether it's with the fastball, the forkball. He's a ground ball pitcher. And if he's up in the zone today, it's going to be a lot of fly balls, and with the weather the way it is today, that would mean something flying out of the park.
So you're Hiroki Kuroda. You've given up 14 runs in your last 14 innings pitched going into the All-Star break. You get your first start. Thinking, okay, I just got a chance to hit the reset button, catch my breath. Here we go. First pitch, double. Here's Colby Rasmus in the number 2 spot. Shows bunt, pulls back from a ball up, and Rasmus, even though he's trying to advance the runner, I think they want Rasmus to swing the bat. He's popped 16 home runs.
Well, a fine looking young hitter. Really started to come on this last month and a half, having a great month of July.
Here's the 1-0 pitch. It's high. Okendo, after Rasmus showed bunt on that first pitch, came down the line and put his hands together as if to say, swing it, please. We know you want to advance the runner, but maybe you can trot around the bases right behind him. Counts 2-0. Pujols on deck. Kuroda right into trouble. That's a foul tip for strike 1.
Well, this has the early makings of some patterns that the Dodgers don't like, and that's where Kuroda has struggled in the first couple of innings before he seems to settle down. And if he does struggle, especially after what's going on the last 2 nights, where the Cardinals get off to that early start, they get off to that early lead, I should say, and that just puts the Dodger offense in a tough position. They can't let the game get out of hand early.
And it's a Dodger offense that's without Manny Ramirez, who left in the first inning last night straining a muscle in his right calf. Here comes a 2-1 pitch to Rasmus. Skips in, not close, 3-1. Mentioned as you watch A.J. Ellis make that play on a short hop on that pitch down and in, that Russell Martin has been playing with a bruise and some inflammation in his left thumb. So they want to give him at least today off. Try and let that heal. He had the 3 days during the All-Star break, but it just won't go away. So he is on the bench to start the day. Not unavailable, but not making the start. Here comes a 3-1 from Kuroda. Rasmus, full count.
Well, a good day to give Martin some time on the bench for a number of reasons. I mean, you can say it's the thumb, but you got a day game after a night game. And the reality is he's a grinder. He goes out there and just busts his tail, and he's really dug himself a hole this year. He just has never been able to get going. I think Joe Torre is using this as, look, get a mental breather, come back tomorrow.
3 balls, 2 strikes. McCall is standing on the bag and now backs up. Here it is to Rasmus, and a strikeout, a big one for Kuroda, 1 away. Good follow-up to that first pitch double, especially considering Kuroda fell behind on the count. Here's the defensive alignment for the Dodgers. Brought to you by Scott. Xavier Paul in left, Kemp in center, Ethier in right, Blake for Kyle DeWitt, and Loney around the infield, and A.J. Ellis trying to guide Hiroki Kuroda through this game, and right now through the at-bat of Albert Pujols. Started for the National League, the top vote getter in the NL in the All-Star game, and he went 0 for 2 on Tuesday night in Anaheim. Pitch from Kuroda is low. Pujols is 7th in the National League, getting 311. He's 4th with 21 home runs and tied for 4th, right near the top with 64 RBIs.
Well, and with all that being said, really Pujols is the guy that Kuroda has had more success against as opposed to Matt Holliday. I mean, this is the guy that you want to go after right now. The guy on deck wears you out.
That's ball 2, 2-0.
And with the way he's going after him right now, it looks like he's trying to pitch around him, even with first base open. Like I said, Pujols 1 for 6 against Kuroda.
Odds go up with a count 2-0. Lopez at second with 1 out. Strike 1. You look at most consecutive seasons in MLB history with a 300 average, 30 or more home runs, 100 runs batted in. Pujols has a chance. He's on pace to do it. Become the first player in MLB history with 10 straight. 300 average, 30 or more home runs, 100 or more RBIs. Gehrig has done it 9 times, currently tied with Pujols. Counts 2-1. Hiroki Kuroda with very deliberate pace, which is a nice way of saying he's too slow. 3-1.
Well, and as you mentioned earlier, that's not something that if you're playing defense behind Kuroda that you're a big fan of right now. You'd rather have him throw strikes and let the hitters hit the ball rather than ball, strike.
Step off, go behind the rubber. Take your time, get back on top. Now the count's 3-1. And time called by Pujols. The next from Kuroda, and a swing and a miss, full count. Pujols has done that a little more in 2010 than he has in years past. He has chased more pitches. He's tried to make some things happen. The guy behind him, Matt Holliday, got off to a very slow start and seemed to pull Albert Pujols out of his comfort zone, and he started to strike out at a greater pace than he has since his rookie year back in 2001. See if Kuroda can come back from a 3-1 count. Here it is on 3-2, and he strikes him out. So back-to-back strikeouts of Rasmus and Pujols, 2 out and a runner at second.
Well, we watch the way Kuroda goes after Pujols, not giving him anything good to hit. He's behind in the count 2-0, but even that pitch is in off of the plate. Again, nothing over the middle, nothing up in the zone. Quite frankly, doesn't really throw him a strike the entire at-bat. Gets Pujols to expand the zone. Kuroda wins that battle.
So now it's up to Matt Holliday. Try and do something with the leadoff double that Felipe Lopez gave St. Louis to start the day.
Now, if I'm Kuroda right here, I don't give this guy anything good to hit. I've got first base open. I've got a rookie on deck.
John Jay is the hottest hitter in National League baseball right now. You out of your mind? Got a 12-game hitting streak. He's hitting 400 during the streak, or 500. You can't walk Holliday and pitch to John Jay.
I'm going after John Jay.
You're out of your mind
right now.
You're out of your mind. Runner at second, 2 out, and a 1-0 pitch to Matt Holliday. Look at him going right after him. 1 ball, 1 strike. I'm just kidding. Matt Holliday's hitting 360 since the middle of June.
Yeah, I was going to say he's really, become that hitter this year that they had at the second half of last year. At the beginning of this season, it really struggled. The power wasn't there. Now he's starting to drive the ball.
Lopez at second with 2 out. He was there with nobody out, and Kuroda spins but doesn't throw. Felipe Lopez could literally go halfway to third base, and nobody could cover second in time to pick him off. Spread out up the middle for Matt Holliday. Here comes a 1-1. Strike two, and Kuroda's in a position to strike out the side after the leadoff double.
Well, outside of that first pitch to Felipe Lopez to start the game, he really hasn't offered anything good to hit to any of these hitters. I mean, that pitch was up in the zone. Lopez was able to get on top of it and drive it for a double. But the rest of these pitches, off the plate, down in the zone, movement.
Here comes a 1-2 pitch to Holliday. Close 2-2. Along with the .360 average since mid-June, Holliday's hit 10 home runs. Hit only 6 in the first 2.5 months of the season. His first year under a 7-year deal for huge dollars. And he has admitted publicly that the weight, the expectations of that deal got to him early in the season. Here's a 2-2 from Kuroda. Instead, he steps off. This place is jam-packed on a Saturday afternoon. Warm day in St. Louis. Now the 2-2. Here it is. And a strikeout. He struck out the side. First pitch was a leadoff double hit by Felipe Lopez. Then a strikeout of Colby Rasmus. Strikeout of Albert Pujols. Holliday is gone. That's why you go after Holliday, Karros, and leave Jay in the on-deck circle. Think outside the bun by Fusion, the 2010 Motor Trend Car of the Year. Get in and drive one. And by Sprint, the Now Network. Along with our stage manager, Gary Lynn, Eric Karros alongside. Joe Buck, we go into the second inning. No score. Loney, DeWitt, and Blake. Middle three in the lineup. Strike machine is Adam Wainwright. Typically struggled his last time out with his control, but Wainwright is a 13-game winner, and he misses down and in 1 ball, 1 strike. Just to give you the numbers, you touched on it in our open, but since the start of 2009, no pitcher in baseball has more wins or a lower ERA than Adam Wainwright, as that curveball misses. Ball 2. 32 and 13. Sabathia 31 and 11. It's the start of last year, and Loney's hot. He shoots one the opposite way. Holliday over to cut it off, and Loney's on with a leadoff hit.
Well, what makes James Loney so successful is his ability to hit the ball where it's pitched. And it's easy to say. It's a lot more difficult to do. In that situation right there, 2-1 count, where you're looking for something over the plate, that's a tough pitch, and he just goes with it. That's why he's having a great season.
That's why he's having a great season with his average. He's driven in the 4th most runs in the National League, but he's only hit 6 home runs, so he's not looking for a pitch to jerk out of the ballpark. He's just going with it. He's the only guy with over 60 RBIs and less than 10 home runs in the big leagues as a curveball drops into Blake DeWitt. He has taken over second base. Former third baseman, the current third baseman, Casey Blake, is next. It's straight away for Blake DeWitt. Base hit right field. Loney will stop at second, and the first 2 are on for the Dodgers here in the second. And here are the Ford keys to the game on a Saturday afternoon.
Well, for your Los Angeles Dodgers, they've got to stay in the ballgame. They've got behind early in the first 2 contests and really never been able to get back involved. They've got to get them in. 3 for 17 with runners in scoring position last night. St. Louis, they've got to continue to do what they've been doing. Score early, take the Dodgers out of the game, and get to the Dodgers starting pitching early. That bullpen's been in the game Thursday and Friday. They'd like to get into that bullpen today as well.
Here's Casey Blake. 2 on, nobody out. Blake is driven in 37. Trying to kickstart the Dodgers on the scoreboard. As Eric said, it hasn't been a problem getting guys on. But it's been getting them in that's been the tough part. And after Blake, it's Xavier Paul, then A.J. Ellis. 2 on with nobody out. Wainwright brings it, and a strike drills the outside corner.
Well, and it's not really been the pattern of the Dodgers this year. They're second in the league, in the National League, hitting with runners in scoring position. But they just haven't been able to do anything in these 2 days.
Trying to get on a little bit of a roll here at the start of the second half. 3.5 out in the West. Here's an 0-1 pitch. There's strike 2. I mean, San Diego has to be considered the biggest surprise in baseball in 2010.
I don't think there's any question. You know, you talk about the Cincinnati Reds, but there were a lot of people that liked the Reds, not necessarily to be atop their division. But the Padres, and people were talking about, were they going to lose 100, 110 games?
0-2 pitch from Wainwright. Curveball drops low. And really, it was a question of when's Adrian Gonzalez going to get traded. And here they are with a 3-game lead over Colorado. And they have publicly said they are looking to add at the trading deadline instead of get rid of assets. And so they should get tougher to beat as you get deeper into the year. The Colorado team is a team, though, that I think should scare teams out in the NL West. Here's a 1-2. Still 1-2.
Well, I'd agree with you. I think Colorado is probably the most balanced team. They'll get their shortstop Tulowitzki back in a few more weeks. But as far as on paper, they're not really deficient in any area. You can find holes with some of the other ball clubs. Again, still a long way to go, and because there's 4 teams in that division that are going to be competitive, they'll be knocking one another off.
Blake hits one in the air to right. Jay is back to his left on the track. Route number 1. Tagging and going to third is Loney, and it's first and third, 1 out. So Jay made the play. Blake hit it deep to right, and it puts James Loney 90 feet away for Xavier Paul.
Well, really a good at-bat by Casey Blake, especially when you're down 0-2 against a guy like Wainwright. At least you get the runner to third. You stay out of the double play. You advance James Loney. Give your next hitter an opportunity to drive in a run.
Last night the starters didn't last long. Jaime Garcia, the very good rookie for the Cardinals, just 3 1/3. Billingsley got 4 under his belt before he was gone and allowed 7 runs on 10 hits. After Kershaw got knocked around on Thursday, here's a pitch in the dirt, smothered by Molina, ball 1. Kershaw, who had been on a serious roll heading into the All-Star break, lost 7-1 here on Thursday. Had a 2.2 ERA over his last 12 starts, but struck out just one, allowed 5 runs on 8 hits.
Yeah, uncharacteristic of Kershaw, as you mentioned, only 1 strikeout.
Wainwright with a count of 1-0, steps to third, looks to first.
Now, if you're Paul right now, you're looking for something up in the zone. I wouldn't necessarily be looking for a fastball, curveball, but I'd be looking for location. Keep the ball off the ground, stay out of the double play, drive something to the outfield. You don't try to be greedy right now. Your only job is to get Loney in from third. You didn't like that third to first, first to third? You don't like that? I'll tell you what, I heard you a couple weeks ago talking about it.
I'm not a big fan of that move. I mean, for the number of times it's used. Here's a double play ball. Wainwright wanted it. Schumacher in the middle, and he gets it. 6-4-3. Green to Schumacher. No damage. Dodgers lead 1. No score.
Go crazy, folks! Go crazy! It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2, and a home run by the Wizards! Go crazy! Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2, and a home run by the Wizards. Go crazy.
A moment that Tom Niedenfuer still sees in his nightmares, and Ozzie Smith still gets questions about daily. The head-to-head all-time series, the Dodgers lead, but just barely. Look at how evenly split that is over time. And they were world champs in 1982. They came up short in 1985, losing to the Kansas City Royals. And all the players are represented from that last highlight here as John Jay grounds one sharply to second. Blake DeWitt throws it away. One of the most routine plays, and Blake DeWitt just goosed it over to first and threw it over the head of James Loney.
Well, you mentioned a routine play. He's got it, bobbled it a little bit, and then just loses the grip. That's just not what you want to do when you're playing on a hot day. Want to get outs. You don't want to give the opposing teams any free passes. That's one thing Blake DeWitt, he's been consistent. He's not a flashy guy, but the routine play he's made all year.
The 5th error of the season for Blake DeWitt, and that's out of the bottom of the second start. Yadier Molina, who has had 2 good games with the bat, steps in. Yadier Molina hit his first home run here at home in over a calendar year last night. Last time he had homered was June 17th of 2009. His average is way down, 231. He's had 2 good games. He's driven in 38 runs all year.
And he's somebody that provided a lot of offense for this Cardinal ball club last year. You know, it's not as if he's striking out. Mark McGwire mentioned it the other day. He said he's just hitting into some bad luck. He's making contact, but balls are going at guys.
First pitch from Kuroda is low for ball 1. How about last night? Benji Molina hit for the cycle, hit a grand slam in Texas's win over the Boston Red Sox, while his baby brother Yadier went 2 for 4 with a 2-run home run and drove home 4 for St. Louis in an 8-4 win over L.A.
I want to know what his other brother did, Jose.
That's a good question.
Toiling in Toronto, I believe.
Yes. Last couple of years has been with the Yankees. The guy who he caught, A.J. Burnett, is pitching today for the New York Yankees and trailing 1-0 as the Yankees host the Tampa Bay Rays. It's been a struggle here lately for Burnett. That's ball 2, 2-0. Yet even with the struggle with his average, he's driven in 38 runs. That is number 2 among National League catchers behind Miguel Olivo. Very well could have been an all-star. He's the catcher for the Colorado Rockies. 2 balls, no strikes. 1 on, nobody out. There goes Jay. Swing and a miss, throw down, and an easy out at second base. So the error is erased. John Jay is now 0 for 2 trying to steal a base, and Molina tried a hit and run and swung and missed.
Yeah, a little surprised that Tony put the hit and run on in this situation. The reason I say that is Colby Rasmus was ahead in the count. Pujols was ahead in the count. Holiday all ahead in the count, and at no time did Kuroda offer anything good to hit. Throwing the breaking ball, the off speed, expanding the zone. Right there, by putting the runner in motion, you're saying, all right, Molina, you're going to make contact. You're going to get a good pitch, and that was not a good pitch to hit.
Molina chops one foul, 2-2.
Now, I understand Molina's ability to make contact, but again, with the way that Kuroda's thrown and what he's shown you today, he's not going to give in to a hitter. It doesn't matter if he's 2-0 or 3-1.
Let's take another look at this. As that foul caught him right above the left ankle.
You know, it's bad enough to be a catcher with all the bumps and bruises you suffer behind the plate when you've got all the gear on, and when you're up at the plate, you hit a ball off your ankle, you're thinking, man, you got to be kidding me. Bad enough I got a catch in this weather.
So a quick visit by the trainer in Molina will get back in the batter's box. Fox Saturday Baseball, presented by Taco Bell, is sponsored by Budweiser, with full flavor and a crisp, clean finish. It's what we do. Counts 2 balls, 2 strikes with 1 out, nobody on, and Kuroda, who got around a leadoff double in the first, brings it, and Molina came very close to doing the same thing.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, as a pitcher, you know, whenever I was up at the plate and I'd foul one off my ankle, it always seemed like that pitcher would come right back in the same spot, because the last thing you want to do as a hitter is take another one off the same place. You know, 1, like I said, is bad enough. 2, that's grounds for just calling it an at-bat and taking it back to the dugout.
2 balls, 2 strikes with the bases clear and 1 out. Schumacher on deck, and another foul. Tony La Russa has described Yadier Molina as, outside of Albert Pujols, the most valuable guy on this team for what he does behind the plate. Very aggressive catcher with his use of his arm. He'll throw behind runners. He is a force behind home. Since 2004, no catcher's thrown out more potential base stealers than Molina. Here's a 2-2. Grounder to third, and Casey Blake will have all day to roll it over to first for out number 2. And Molina is in some pain as he heads off the field.
It's a breaking ball, and you can see Molina jogging down to first base. Yeah, I'm not sure that that ball off his ankle is going to make him any slower. Doesn't run real well anyhow. But the thing about it, as his day progresses, it's going to get worse. It'll start to swell up. It'll be more aggravating.
Here's Schumacher, takes a ball outside. It takes a lot to get not only Yadier or Molina out of the lineup, but really any of the three Molina brothers in the big leagues out. As Loney makes the play, we head into the third here in St. Louis. Have we mentioned that it's hot? Third inning rolls in. No score. Back after this from your local Fox station. Presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Third inning, first up, A.J. Ellis, who does the catching for Russell Martin today. Martin out with a swollen left thumb. Something he's been dealing with for much of the year, according to Joe Torre. Then Kuroda. Then Rafael Furcal. Wainwright deals, and a fastball is a strike. Ellis is hitting just .214. 8 RBIs, no home runs. Backup catcher while Brad Ausmus is working his way back on a rehab assignment. He's up to AAA. Breaking ball is in for strike 2.
We mentioned that Ellis just strictly defense. Only 1 extra base hit and 42 at-bats.
Won't offer that pitch, 1-2. So the Cardinals are looking up at the Cincinnati Reds and all of their good young talent. Reds are about to get Edinson Volquez back. Get him back today against Colorado. Coming off Tommy John surgery. There's strike 3 on a fastball right down the chute. A.J. Ellis gives it a look, and back to the dugout he goes. Adam Wainwright this season at home is 9-0. An ERA of 1.43, and opponents are hitting just 189 against him. How about 62 strikeouts against 14 walks? And just 2 home runs allowed in now over 70 innings, 69 1/3 coming in, and he leads baseball in home wins, ERA, and opponent's average.
You know, and I still think nationally, when you think of the Cardinals and the ace of the staff, a lot of people, Chris Carpenter, and rightfully so. He's a great pitcher. He's got a Cy Young Award under his belt, but really, Adam Wainwright has supplanted Carpenter as the ace of his staff.
1-1 pitch over the outside corner, strike two, and Carpenter wouldn't fight that. He'll first to tell you that he's proud of what Wainwright has been able to do. 1-2 pitch, and Kuroda just weakly grounds to Pujols. To the bag he goes, 2 out. And it's really been a top 3 in the rotation for St. Louis. And the quest of general manager John Mozeliak, who just had his contract extended, is to find another starter. They're without Kyle Loesch. He's working his way back. And they're without Brad Penny, who initially the pulled muscle in his shoulder / back was supposed to be a 2 or 3 week situation. He hasn't pitched in forever, and they don't know if they're going to get him back at all this season.
No, a lot more serious than they initially thought. The lat a bit detached, and then he's had some shoulder issues historically, and those have flared up again.
A 2 out. Here's for Kyle. Shortens up, takes a strike.
You mentioned Volquez coming back for the Reds. I think that's where the Reds separate themselves from this Cardinal ball club, is the ability of the starting staff. I think the top 2 or 3 are better for the Cardinals, but when you talk about depth, I'm not sure any club in baseball can match what the Cincinnati Reds have, especially with the return of Volquez.
And the same can be said for the team the Dodgers are trailing in San Diego, and the job that Bud Black has done, and Darren Balsley, the pitching coach, in setting a tone and letting that good young pitching figure it out at the big league level. They can do it. Obviously, they have the closer in Heath Bell. They have a rotation that's deep and good, and their middle relief, including a guy, Luke Gregerson, that they got from the Cardinal organization, who has been lights out for the majority of the season.
I don't think there's any question of what they've accomplished up to this point, but when you start talking about the inexperience of some of those guys, especially at the top of that starting staff, and how will they react playing meaningful games in August and September? We'll find that out.
2-2 pitch. Breaking ball goes around the strike zone, full count. Got 2 starters on this Cardinal staff, Wainwright and Carpenter, who feature great curveballs. See that pitch thrown all that often across baseball, and for Kyle Fowles wanted to keep it full.
Well, the pitch has really disappeared. A lot of people have fallen in love with the cutter and the slider, more of a power pitch. See, there's that curveball right there. There's a player on the Dodgers staff that has that curveball, Clayton Kershaw.
Here's a line drive, base hit into right field over the glove of Skip Schumacher, and for Kyle, who was hitting .400 since coming back from his father's funeral in the Dominican Republic on the 24th of June, is on with 2 out here in the 3rd.
Well, a lot of people talk about Manny Ramirez being the key to the Dodger offense, or Andre Ethier. But for me, the most valuable player, most important player on this team, and he's been so the last few years, is Rafael Furcal. When he's healthy, he does things that nobody else on that Dodger ball club can do. You can hit for average, hit for power, you can steal bases, and really ignites the offense.
In steps a guy who's been a mystery to the Dodgers here in 2010, Matt Kemp. Got off to a solid start, sitting .285 in April and May, but since the 1st of June, just .227. Was actually benched for 3 games after getting into an argument with the bench coach for Joe Torre. Check on the runner for Kyle. This is a spot where you can expect for Kyle, if he gets a jump, to test the combination of Adam Wainwright and Yadier Molina. 42% thrown out base stealers since '04. Fastball high, ball 1.
Well, and if you're Matt Kemp right now, you've got to be sitting on fastball. This is where you take advantage of Furcal at first base. You figure he may run. Molina knows that. Probably not going to call for a curveball. So sit on a fastball. If he throws a curveball for a strike, spit on it, but sit on a fastball.
Here's a 1-0. Hard hit. Shortstop Tyler Green makes the play in the hole. The inning is over. A hit. Dodgers have left 2 on the day. Bottom of the 3rd inning rolls in. No score. Adam Wainwright's batting the 8th spot. I was kidding during the lineup portion of our broadcast when I said Tony La Russa does this just to be different. Other teams have taken to this a little bit, batting the pitcher if the pitcher can hit. In this case, Wainwright can handle the bat. And it also helps the number 3 hitter in Tony La Russa's mind to potentially get more men on in front of a guy like Albert Pujols after you get through the lineup one time. And there is some merit to it. First pitch is a strike to Wainwright, who's 8 for 49. The next is a ball.
There is some merit to it, and it makes a lot of sense, except in this situation right here, where you have your pitcher leading off in the 8th spot right here, because then you're playing usually with 1 out. You know, where you could have a number 8 hitter, he gets on, then you have the pitcher come up. But again, I actually would do the same thing with a guy like Pujols, because it makes a lot of sense. You put potentially 3 guys ahead of him.
Well, you hit on third a lot, didn't you?
Fourth and fifth.
Mike was third?
Mike was third. Piazza was third.
Here comes a 1-2 pitch. Wainwright lays off. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
But it is interesting how other managers, you know, have also quote unquote copied Tony, done that a few times with their own lineup.
Wainwright trying to get on to start this 3rd inning, and he pops it into center. Should be easily handled by Matt Kemp on the run. They got a late break. He made the catch. Out number 1, and here's our visit with Joe Torre. First question was, how are the Dodgers dealing with the heat here in St. Louis?
Well, you know, Garrett Anderson came up to me before the game. He says, "Did you play in stuff like this?" I said, "Yeah, it was hot like this, but I wasn't near as tired back 30 years ago, whatever it is, 40 years ago here." It's warm. There's not a lot of circulation going on down here, but you know what's helped us more than anything else, Joe, is the fact that we've had a couple of scoreless innings, and it looks like Kuroda is pretty comfortable out there.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. He throws 1 pitch, and it's a double. Then he strikes out the side the first. It had to put a smile on your face.
Well, I think it was a good test for us all, because we need to get our confidence back right now. You know, we got manhandled the first couple of games, and you know, this game is the momentum probably shifts with the pitcher, and we're certainly facing a tough one today, and we just got to match him as best we can.
I'll start the song, and then Eric's going to finish it. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, Joe Torre. Happy birthday tomorrow.
I love it. Thank you, guys. It's nice, and they're all big. Somebody said it's a big birthday. I said they're all big when you get to this age.
As my dad used to say, it's bad luck to miss one.
You got it.
Thanks for your time.
Okay.
That's Joe Torre, who turns 70 tomorrow. Meanwhile, Tyler Green is hit on the hand or wrist by Kuroda. He's on at first, and for Tyler Green, he's taken over the shortstop position. That caught him on the left forearm. I have to believe better than hand.
Yeah, you know, I think it actually caught him on the right forearm, which, you know, that's really the tender part right there. You know, they're trying to see if he's got feeling in his hand. That's just, there's not a lot of protection. You watch his fastball, it just continues to run in. It gets by that left foot. Look at it, right in the hand there. Not feeling good.
But okay to continue, at least run the bases. Who knows beyond that? 1 on, 1 out. And the batter will be Felipe Lopez, who doubled his first time up. Tyler Green has good speed. He has stolen 1 base. Limited time, and that's strike 1. If you think about the shortstop position for the Cardinals, there's been plenty of instability there, and that has always been a position the Cardinals have enjoyed a lot of success with. Obviously, Ozzie Smith, we showed you the home run, his first left-handed home run that he hit off Nietenfuer in the NLCS in '85. He had a great run. Royce Clayton Eckstein was a good player at short.
How about Trip Cromer?
Trip Cromer was a mainstay here with the Cardinals. University of South Carolina product as Tyler Green dives back in. But last year they started with Khalil Green. Then Brendan Ryan took over and hit .292. Showed some great range and the ability to play the position defensively, but his offense has fallen apart here in 2010, and now it's Tyler Green. Dodgers have stability with Furcal on their side. Here's the 0-1. Skips in. Ellis can't find it. It's right at the umpire's feet, and down to second goes Tyler Green on a wild pitch.
Well, A.J. Ellis doesn't know where it is, but most important, watch Felipe Lopez right here if we stick with them. See, he gives the hand signal, because as the runner, you can't necessarily see where the ball is, or you don't necessarily see where it is. Lopez helping out the runner by waving his arm, stays in the play, gets the runner to second base.
Gives the easier RBI chance to Felipe Lopez, who is a .394 hitter this season with runners on, and A.J. Ellis with a runner at second. He's going to go out and go over the signs with Kuroda.
Well, remember, Lopez hit that high fastball his last at bat down the left field line, and what Kuroda has shown today, he will not throw strikes in tough situations. He'll try to have the hitter expand the zone, and he's going to the breaking ball.
Here's a 1-1. Ball 2. And while he's tried to make the hitters expand their zone, they have. The Cardinals have so far, as he struck out all 3. Rasmus, Pujols, and Holiday after the double in the first.
And this is the situation right here. It's a 2-1 count. You're ahead as a hitter. This is where you've got to make the pitcher throw a ball that you can hit. Don't expand the zone.
Here's a 2-1. Outside, 3-1.
Kuroda won't give in here. He doesn't care if he walks him. Put a runner at first and second. Try to go after a double play, but I just can't expect Kuroda to throw anything over the middle part of the plate right here.
Here's a 3-1, and he doesn't. All over the middle part, but up around the chest. That's the first walk handed out by the Dodger right-hander. 2 on, 1 out for Colby Rasmus. We look ahead to next week, Fox Saturday Baseball. The Mets taking on these Dodgers. White Sox and A's in Oakland of the Rockies against the Phillies. Fox Saturday Baseball presented by Taco Bell returns next week at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. Those are the matchups next Saturday. The Dodgers, just a 4-game set here, and they go home to take on the Giants beginning of next week. Cardinals have the Phillies. Here is a pitch on the outside corner, strike 1 to Rasmus, who struck out his first time. A hit batsman, a wild pitch, and a walk. Rasmus, who has matched his home run total from his rookie season last year, 16 already, waits for the 0-1 and takes ball 1.
Both pitches on the outer part of the plate. If you're a hitter right now, you know that that's where they're trying to get you out.
Here it is on 1 ball, 1 strike from Kuroda. And a fastball, swing and a miss, 94 from the Dodger right-hander, strike 2.
So he's gone out there 3 times. As a hitter right now, you've got to protect out there. If you're catching right now, maybe you can call for something in off of the plate, maybe that cutter, try to tie Rasmus up.
Long look in by Kuroda. 2 on, 1 out. A 1-2 pitch. Colby Rasmus is fouled back as he came in on the hands of Rasmus. That pitch, still 1-2.
Well, and interesting because he was set up outside, but it's almost as if Kuroda just said, "The heck with where you're set up," right there, and he just threw a fastball that just ran in on the hands.
Or he just missed a spot.
Yeah, that's quite possible.
Rasmus has 42 RBIs so far this season, 46 pitches so far for Kuroda. Here it is on 1 and 2, and it skips in. Ellis can't find it again, and both runners advance. Second wild pitch of the inning. And for the second time, Ellis blocked it but couldn't find it.
That's the thing. Ellis has done such a great job on both of them, just keeping the ball right at his feet in front of him. You would expect normally the ball, as a catcher, would probably kick off and roll away from you, so you're looking out in front of you or to the side when the ball's laying right at your feet.
So the count now 2-2. A base hit could drive home 2 for the Cardinals here off the bat of Rasmus. On deck is Pujols. Best scoring chance of the day so far for the Cardinals. Dodgers had one in their half of the second, but a double play off the bat of Paul ended it. And A.J. Ellis going to go out and personally apologize for not being able to find those wild pitches at his feet. Teams around the league are competing for a $200,000 Pepsi Refresh grant. Vote for your team's idea at PepsiRefresh.MLB.com. Two and two the count, second and third, one out. And a strikeout of Rasmus. Second time he's struck out. Can't put the ball in play. 2 out in the inning.
Well, again, when Kuroda gets in trouble, he does not throw the ball over the plate. This ball bounces. Ellis doing a nice job of keeping the ball in front of him. Rasmus being an aggressive hitter going after that pitch, expanding his zone. I mean, if anything, Kuroda has been good in not giving in, but the Cardinal hitters have helped them immensely by expanding the zone and not swinging at strikes.
That's what happened with Pujols back in the first. He struck out. Second and third, 2 out. See how aggressive Kuroda is with Pujols up. There's ball 1 down and away. I know he hasn't hit Kuroda in the past. Has just 1 hit against his Dodger right-hander, but that's Albert Pujols standing at home plate with first base open, 2 out.
Well, you figure he's due. But again, I think he goes after him in the manner of, I'm not going to give you anything good to hit. If you want to get yourself out or go after something outside of the zone, go get him.
Here's a 1-0. Over the plate, a little wrinkle on the end of it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Kuroda started this season 6-5 with an ERA just over 3, but 1-2 over his last 3 starts with an ERA of 9. No record against St. Louis in his career, but an ERA of 1.38. Trying to get out of trouble here in the third. Not close, ball 2.
Well, I think some of the trouble he's had in his last few starts is his inability to control the ball. He's added a few more walks per game. He's given up some home runs. And what that tells me is he's unable to find his location. And really today, if the Cardinal hitters would have been more patient, Kuroda would have found himself in more trouble than he's been in today.
As it is, no score, third inning. 2 balls, 1 strike. The count on Albert Pujols. And a fly ball into shallow center. Easy for Matt Kemp. Inning is over. The Cardinals have left 3 and missed a golden chance in the third. 4th inning rolls in, no score. DeWitt. Middle three in the lineup. 3, 4, 5 hitters nonetheless for the Dodgers. And a group that combined has 2 of the 3 hits so far for LA. The other belongs to Furcal. Andre Ethier is on a short list. One of 5 MLB players with 2 career home runs off Adam Wainwright. It includes the postseason. This one August 19th last year at LA. And then in the division series, game 2 at LA. A solo shot in the 4th to tie that game at 1. Here's a 1-1 pitch. It's high, 2 balls and a strike.
Ethier's really endeared himself to Dodger fans, and for that matter, fans across the country. Voted into this year's All-Star game. But the guy is just tireless. Comes out there, grinds, works, has a lot of success.
Flips it foul out of play left side, 2-2.
I mean, if there was any knock against him, it was that, you know, sometimes he'd take each at bat too hard if he didn't have success. Sometimes that played against him, but for me, I think that's really what's fueled his success, what's allowed him to become a star player. I hope he never loses it.
It's like going to a job interview. Here's a 2-2 pitch, foul ball, and they say, "What's your biggest deficiency? What do you need to work on?" I try too hard. I care too much. That's my biggest deficiency. And if, I guess in this day and age, if you're saying that about Andre Ethier or anybody in professional sports, it's not so much a deficiency. It's something that at times can wear you down, but you like to see. Here's a 2-2 pitch. That rides up and away, full count.
Well, I'd absolutely agree with you on that. As far as that's something you want to see. The only thing about baseball, though, is because it's a everyday deal. If you have that roller coaster, especially that emotional component where you're up and down, it can beat you down by the middle of the season.
Here's a 3-2 pitch, reaching for it, foul ball. We just talked to Tony La Russa, the Cardinal manager. We got career win number 2,601 here last night. He's number 3 on the all-time list. When he decides to hang it up, into the Hall of Fame he will go. Behind Connie Mack and John McGraw. Here's a 3-2. A strikeout starts the inning. Number 3 on the day for Wainwright. The first question was about the Cardinal right-hander, Adam Wainwright, and how well he's pitching here today.
Well, I just think he's the upper echelon in either league. I mean, this guy's so consistent and got good stuff. He's really smart, and he's great under pressure.
You've missed some chances so far in this game against Kuroda. It seems like your guys are chasing some pitches, trying to do too much.
Oh, it's terrible. I mean, the first inning, you could have walked everybody that went up there. And, you know, we need to be aggressive, but we want to be aggressive in the strike zone, and we've helped them out in a bad way, so we got to improve that.
Hey, just on a different note, how do you guys deal with the heat on a day like this, out on the field, in the dugout, whatever?
Well, it starts with the workout. You know, we really limit it, make it optional. If a guy works out, he comes off. But, you know, at some point, you got to go out there and play, and the best way you deal with it is have quick innings when you're playing defense and stretch it out when they're out there.
Appreciate your time, Tony. Thank you.
All right.
That's what Adam Wainwright's trying to do. He has allowed 3 hits, helped out by a double play, turned behind him. He has struck out 3, walked nobody, and he misses outside. 2-1 on James Loney, who served a base hit into left his first time up. Congratulations to those two. I guess they were just married, or they're going to be married, or whatever. Here's a ground ball to the right side for Schumacher. Hit right to him, 2 out. Or it's just the easiest way to get on TV if you show up to a ball game wearing a wedding dress. Something you could try, Eric.
Well, I think just sitting up here next to you, I'm waiting for that in-game shot that our producer Jeff Gowan, doing a fine job down in the truck.
Can't do it because Indiana University's own Ben Heisler is behind us, so kind of be an awkward shot. Pitch for strike 1 into Blake DeWitt. DeWitt singled his first time sharply through the right side, and he tries to get on with 2 out, nothing doing so far in the 4th inning. There's another strike. It's 0-2.
Well, and the one difference between Wainwright and Kuroda, Wainwright, he's on the mound, he's ready to go, ball in hand, he just waits for the hitter to get into the box. Kuroda taking a lot more time today.
Another strikeout. Actually a foul tip, and it bounces into the dirt as Molina smothers it, and the count stays 0-2, so no strikeout.
And I think, as Tony La Russa pointed out, you want to get your guys back in that dugout as quick as possible. They'll be better offensively. They'll have a bit more energy.
The 0-2. Fastball high. Pitch count for Adam Wainwright so far as he works in the fourth. He's at 56. Cardinals will have Holiday, John Jay, and Yadier Molina to the plate in their half of this fourth. Ball 2.
But we look at that 56 and we think, well, 56, we're in the fourth inning. That's not that bad, but you have to take into account the heat. And so that 56 today is probably something like a 70 or 80, on a normal day.
Cardinals are working with a shorter bullpen because of the work last night of the rookie Jaime Garcia, who went just 3 1/3. That's a rocket into the corner.
Yeah, both bullpens have been used. Dodgers, as I mentioned earlier, Thursday and Friday, Kershaw and Billingsley, the starters, not able to go deep.
Another 2-2 pitch from Adam Wainwright is just inside, almost jumped back over the corner, full count.
I think that pitch caught umpire Greg Gibson.
I don't think DeWitt would have argued. As it is, he shoots one into right center field. Jay on the run, and he can't make a diving catch. Blake DeWitt will cruise around second and hold there with 2 out in the fourth. So from a near strikeout to a 2-out double off the bat of Blake DeWitt.
Well, DeWitt feels like he's on borrowed time right there with that pitch prior to that one right there. The fastball out over the plate. John Jay makes a gallant effort just over the outstretched glove. DeWitt thinking about going to third base, but smartly holds up at second.
Blake DeWitt grew up in Sikeston, Missouri. A lot of family and friends watching this game, and he's at second with 2 out. He is 2 for 2 against Wainwright. Casey Blake could put the Dodgers on top here in the fourth. Good curveball for strike 1.
Yeah, that's that curveball we're talking about. He throws it at different speeds. So not only as a hitter do you have to adjust for the break in the pitch, but then the velocity as well, or I should say lack of velocity.
Time called at the plate. Casey Blake made his name with the Indians. He's had a decent run here with the Dodgers. Part of them getting to back-to-back National League Championship Series. The 0-1.
He's been solid. He hasn't been spectacular, but what he's been is he's been somebody that Joe Torre can count on each and every game. He doesn't have to wonder what he's going to get or if he's going to get performance. Just pencil him in there and let him go.
A 1-1. Ball 2. Plus, there are just certain guys that should grow a beard, and he's one of them. I mean, that is one of the fullest beards that you're going to find. Even on a hot day like this, it just looks right in the face of Casey Blake.
I got to believe, though, on a day like this, this is when you got to think, you know what, it's coming off. It's not worth it.
Here comes a 2-1 pitch from Wainwright. Misses. 3 balls and a strike with Xavier Paul on deck. There are the numbers for Blake with 2 outs. Somebody in scoring position. He's over 300. He has the count in his favor, 3-1.
You can't throw him a strike here. Something on the corner.
Set up inside. Blake hits it. Diving stop by Felipe Lopez. And then Pujols on the other end. That ends the inning. Mariano Duncan is arguing that Pujols came off the bag. Brilliant stop by Lopez, saved the run, and Pujols got the out. No score after 3.5. Matt Holliday will lead it off, and we've taken a look at a number of different angles on that play by Pujols at first to see if his foot is on the bag. That's how the top of this fourth ended. That's not as definitive a look as this one, if you're going to call it definitive. I would argue that his foot's off the bag. You think his foot is on the bag?
Well, that's as a former first baseman, I'm going to give Pujols the credit that he deserves.
And yet
right there.
And yet a former Dodger.
That's a good point. That's a great point. Pujols was off the bag.
Okay. Either way, he's called out. And that's the end of the threat at the top of this fourth inning.
Well, really a fine defensive play on both ends. You see Pujols. I mean, it looks to me like he's got the corner of the bag right there. Shows the umpire the ball.
That was out number 3. Here's another look. First base umpire is Ryan Knight. He set out. That's all that matters. And here comes a 1-1 pitch to Matt Holliday. A 5-2. The interesting part is Pujols was popping up in case he didn't get the call to try and get Blake DeWitt coming around third to the plate.
And that's the right play, and that's an experienced first baseman right there. For that matter, any player on the field. Because a lot of times guys will look to the umpire and forget that the play's still going.
Pujols, a former Gold Glove Award winner and a guy who has really improved at first base. Holliday fouled that one off his leg or foot. Holliday's at the plate. Pujols so far is 0 for 2. He's missed a couple of RBI chances in their careers against the Dodgers. Pujols a .319 hitter. And Matt Holliday has hit more home runs against the Dodgers with all those days in the NL West than he has against any other team in baseball, while hitting .339.
I'm guessing, though, those numbers that Pujols has against the Dodgers, you could put any ball club in there. Dodgers, Rockies, Reds, Cubs.
I agree. And he's done nothing but hit since he came to spring training in 2001 and made the ball club. As you look at that foul off the leg of Holliday. Only because that particular season Bobby Bonilla was injured and couldn't come north out of Florida with the big league club. So give Pujols a shot. And he never saw the minor leagues again. He was an all-star that year. Here's a 2-2 pitch to Holliday, leading it off in the fourth inning. Ball 3. If you could just hear Eric and see the frustration on the face of Tony La Russa when asked about his lineup today and how they are really helping Kuroda get out of trouble.
Well, he didn't make any bones about it. You know, we've been talking about it up here in the booth that Kuroda refuses to throw the ball over the plate. Even here, let's see what happens. 3-2 and
shattered bat, a foul that's caught in the Cardinal dugout.
You know, that pitch even, it's running in on the hands of Holliday. You know, for Kuroda, he hasn't left anything out over the plate outside of that ball that Lopez hit to start the game. I mean, watch this. This thing just run. This is ball 4. You know, so either it's an over-aggressiveness on the Cardinals' part, or it's deception on Kuroda. I'm going to go with a combination of the two, and then the big factor, you're just drained out there right now because of the heat.
Another 3-2 pitch from Kuroda. A tap foul again, the pitch that would have been ball 4. Kuroda has walked only 1. That was Felipe Lopez last inning. Thrown 2 wild pitches, struck out 4, and allowed just 1 hit.
I mean, I guess you could call him effectively wild today.
Crafty veteran right-hander.
Ooh, that's a good thing.
Deceptively phenomenal.
All right, let's stop.
The 3-2 pitch. Rounder up the middle and a base hit. Second Cardinal hit of the day, and the leadoff man is on here in the bottom of the 4th. Our DirecTV game break. We go to Yankee Stadium as fans outside remember the late George Steinbrenner and, of course, the late Bob Shepard. Inside there was a baseball game to be played, and it was Reed Brignac. A 95-mile-per-hour fastball, a 2-run shot off A.J. Burnett. Top of the second made it 3-0 Tampa Bay. It's now 4-2 Rays. Still early at Yankee Stadium. The only way to watch every MLB game in HD is to call 1-800-DIRECTV. Here is John Jay, who reached on an error, a throwing error by Blake DeWitt back in the second, and was out stealing. We're in the fourth, no score. Cardinals have their leadoff man on. For the third time in 4 innings, ball 1 from Kuroda. John Jay is at the plate, Eric, and the Cardinals hope that by the end of this homestand, on to the next road trip, they get Ryan Ludwig back in their lineup.
Well, they've had some good production in the absence of Ludwig, but Ludwig has had success over the years.
Check on Holiday, who has a small lead. Ludwig, an all-star 2 seasons ago. The guy who had found some success batting the number 2 spot. He's got a calf strain, and they say he's about a week and a half away. Here's a 1-0. Jay fouls it back. John has a 12-game hitting streak. It is the longest active streak in the National League, and during that time, he's hit 500. He's come up and really taken advantage of this golden opportunity. He's been in there as a starter. He's been effective, and you saw the numbers off the bench. He's been very good.
Well, he's up there to swing the bat. No question about that. 70 at-bats coming into today with only 2 walks. So he is a free swinger. I think that plays into Kuroda's hands here.
Holds the bat low, waits for a 1-1, and he takes it inside, ball 2. John Jay looks down at third base coach Jose Oquendo. Holiday with his lead, and a 2-1 pitch is chopped to the second baseman DeWitt. A flip out over to first, safe. And Loney now will argue with the first base umpire. The Dodgers think they got the short end of another call at first. Anxious to see that replay as Jay bounces into a 4-6 force out.
Well, DeWitt does a nice job getting rid of that high up ball, and for call lets it go. Looked like you had him by about a step right there. Oh yeah,
he was out. Looked out from up here, and he looks out on the replay. But the call was safe, and so it's 1 on, 1 out for Yadier Molina, who's 0 for 1. This is a Dodger team that's only getting 5.68 innings pitched from their starters. That is the 4th fewest in baseball. As Kuroda has thrown a lot of pitches as he works here in the 4th inning.
Well, he's been throwing a lot of pitches. He gets behind in the count. He's 2-1, 3-1. But then the Cardinal hitters have been letting him off the hook. John Jay was ahead in the count, 2-1. Bounces that ball to DeWitt.
This will be number 66 on the day from Kuroda. 1-0. And in 2-0.
The last time, a 2-0 count, Tony put John Jay in motion, hit and run. Ended up being thrown out at second base. Molina did not get a pitch to hit. Can't believe he'll do it again.
Kuroda steps off. Phillies finally won today. They beat the Cubs, who had taken the first 2 games of that 4-game series. So behind Ted Lilly last night, a guy who seems to be firmly on the trading block. Here's a 2-0 right back up the middle. Off Kuroda into center, and going first to third and running on Matt Kemp is John Jay. Kuroda's seen that before. It happened in Arizona on a line drive that went off his head. And this one off the bat of Molina went right back up the middle, and thankfully Kuroda got out of the way. It got a piece of him on its way to center field. Last year, Hiroki Kuroda in August got that off his head. Line drive squarely out the right side of his head, and here's one from Molina right back up the middle, and he was able to get out of the way and got part of his glove on it on the hit by Molina. Good base running by John Jay to go first to third, and it's first and third with one out for Schumacher. Skip Schumacher has had a disappointing year with the bat. Got off to a very slow start. Made 11 errors at second base, trying for his 21st RBI or more, and that drops in for strike one.
Well, and this is that situation right now. If you're a hitter, you know that you've got the pitcher on deck because Wainwright is hitting in the 8th spot today. Probably not going to get a lot of good pitches to hit.
Here's the 0-1. Schumacher hits a foul, strike two.
Loney comes in right now to get a little rosin and maybe say something to Kuroda. You know, I'm not really sure why you would hold Molina on. Not really a threat. Give yourself a little more room to maneuver over at first base with the left-handed hitting Schumacher at the plate.
Cardinals have a run. A 1-2 count on Wainwright. Just wondered if Tony might put a bunt down, but now 2 strikes.
Well, he had a very aggressive lead from Yadier Molina. He actually went way down the third base line. It almost looked as if he expected Adam Wainwright to maybe do a safety squeeze. And
keep in mind, Yadi is hobbled by a sore ankle after fouling a pitch off his ankle in the at-bat back in the 2nd inning before he grounded out to third.
The difference with the safety squeeze is you wait until the bunt's down, then you go, and you're not really leaving yourself out to dry like you would on a suicide squeeze.
For call comes in tight, a swing and a miss, and Wainwright strikes out. So Adam wasn't able to help his cause, and that's the 5th strikeout for Kuroda. It's up to Tyler Green. Green has 11 hits in his last 33 at-bats, including a home run and 4 RBIs.
Waino is not going to be happy with himself about that at-bat. He knows that he had an opportunity there right at that point to extend the Cardinal lead, and he takes a lot of pride in his hitting. He works at it. Took extra hitting this week.
Well, let's see if Green can pick him up here. See if Tyler can put a good at-bat on Kuroda. Kuroda put a pitch on Green, hit him on the right hand. Now the second look at the Dodger right-hander. There's a fastball high. Looked pretty good.
Right down the middle high. I thought that's what you were going to say.
It looked like a letter high strike. The umpires have been told to call that pitch. 286 batter, couple of homers, 6 RBIs for Tyler Green, who has split time between here and Memphis. With runners on second and third, Kuroda checks on Yachty coming down the line. And the pitch. There's a strike called. 1-1.
Again, the danger of one of those wild pitches that Kuroda has thrown already today. He has a couple of them. He's been so nasty with his off-speed pitches, but it puts a lot of pressure on the catcher, A.J. Ellis, who doesn't play a lot. Almost a balk by Kuroda. Started to come set, then stepped off, broke his hands almost at the same time.
Kuroda from the high stretch position. The pitch. Green lets a slider go outside. 2-1 on Tyler. Tyler last year with the Cardinals at 222, 2 homers, 7 RBIs. He split time between the minors and the majors. Hiroki Kuroda, 7 up, 7 down with a 3.74 ERA. Adam Wainwright is 13-5 with a 2.05 ERA. Here's a swing and a miss. Green chased one outside. Another breaking pitch off the plate, 2-2.
This guy doesn't throw many pitches straight, does he?
No, and he doesn't throw many over the plate. The slider looked like it was going to be over the outside corner, and then it was in the outside batter's box. Kuroda stands 6'1", 215 pounds. He's 35 years old. The Japanese right-hander is ready. Now the pitch. A swing and a miss, and Green strikes out. 6 strikeouts for Hiroki Kuroda. But the Cardinals broke through with a run. They left 2 more on in scoring position. They've left 5 on today, all in scoring position.
The old Dodgers better get to work. They have been knocked around the first 2 games of this series. They trail now 1-0 into the top of the 5th inning today against Adam Wainwright, the Cardinals' best. They have the bottom 3 in their lineup coming up here in the 5th. Paul, Ellis, and Kuroda. Cardinals just jumped on top thanks to an RBI double by Schumacher. First pitch of ball to Xavier Paul, who knocked it into a double play. His first time up with first and third, 1 out in the second. A strike, and it's 1-1.
Well, in all 3 of these ball games, the Dodgers have fallen behind. Again, the same thing, and you're going against a guy like Wainwright.
Reaching for it. Paul pops it into left. Matt Holliday is there. 1 out. How about our Verizon game summary? Roki Kuroda has struck out 6 in 4 innings, but he's allowed to run. Wainwright has not in 4 1/3 on 4 hits, 3 strikeouts. And Schumacher has the only RBI. So A.J. Ellis will step in. Ellis now hitting .209. Strike 1. Tony La Russa talked about the matchup coming in, saying this is one of those games that's set up. You think you have the advantage with somebody like Wainwright. Strike 2. As opposed to tomorrow, when the Dodgers will send Vicente Padilla, who's been so good, against Jeff Suppan, who's 0-5 and still working his way back into shape after getting released by Milwaukee. 2 out. And the batter will be Kuroda.
You mentioned that Tony talking to us beforehand, and not only do you have Wainwright on the mound, but you've got Manny Ramirez out of the game, Russell Martin not playing as well. And so all things point to, Cardinals, they should win this ball game. But Kuroda's been on a tightrope, and he's been able to escape any major damage. Just a 1-0 ball game.
Kuroda takes ball 1. Roki grounded out. He is 0 for 29.
I'm guessing 30's coming up right here. That's my guess.
Strike 1.
Yeah, if I'm Kuroda up there, to be honest with you, you got 2 outs. I just stand up there and make him throw pitches. Because you really don't want to get down to first base if you're the starting pitcher. He's standing around out there, then have to run the bases and then come back out there and have to pitch. I mean, unless you're going deep right now, I'm standing up there and making Wainwright throw pitches.
Wainwright will let it go over his head. Veteran move, and Schumacher makes the play. Halfway through it, 1-0. St. Louis over L.A. think outside the bunch. Dodgers got a run on Thursday night. They had a couple, scored 2 late, scored a total of 4 last night. And they're down 1-0 in the 5th inning here today. They've lost Manny Ramirez from their lineup. They don't have Russell Martin in their lineup. As they look up in the NL West at the San Diego Padres, this has not been a good start to the second half for Los Angeles.
No, not the way you want to start. And they've got obviously the 4 here with the Cardinals, and they go home. Got the Mets, and the Giants and the Mets, I should say. But I don't think anything for at least the Dodgers is going to be decided the next 2-3 weeks, even the next month. And they've been strong against their own division, where they've absolutely dominated. They've got close to 40 some odd games still within the division.
Top of the order for St. Louis. The interesting thing is, with the pending divorce of the McCourts and the financial straitjacket that the Dodgers seem to be in, what realistically are they going to be able to add to this rotation, to this bullpen, to this lineup as we move toward the trading deadline at the end of July?
Well, the one thing Ned Colletti's been able to do over the past few years is add players and not add payroll. He did that with Manny Ramirez, the acquisition of Casey Blake as well. But I'm not sure the minor league system is still as deep as it was in order to make those sort of moves.
First pitch, a ball to Lopez, and now a strike.
The one thing about the Dodger ball club is they can't afford to have an injury. They need the guys to stay healthy. You know, Manny being out, though, you mentioned Russell Martin as well. But I'm not so sure if anybody else in the National League West, if they don't make a move, then, you know, I think the Dodgers will take their chances and go. Like I said, they've been dominant within the division.
And they have 23-6. Lopez grounds to the shortstop for call. Ball comes up. Call shows off that arm, and for the first time today, Felipe Lopez is sent back to the dugout. Pick a stat, pick a player, build your baseball hot streak. Correctly pick 10 straight and win a Fox Sports baseball cap. You can join hundreds of others who are already wearing theirs. The current longest streak is 33, held by Katie 316 and baseballer 927. Get your streak started today at foxsports.com/fantasy. Hot streak choices from today's game. Adam Wainwright, 5+ strikeouts. Adam Wainwright getting the win. For Kyle, Ethier or Manny getting a hit.
I'm going with Manny getting a hit.
Oh, no, you can't do that. Well, maybe
he
later.
Can pitch it. Pitch it.
The real shame of it for the Dodgers is that while Manny Ramirez has been on the disabled list, as Rasmus takes ball high and the count's 1-1, while he's been on the disabled list twice. Leading into his second stint on the DL, he was absolutely red hot. When Manny Ramirez gets red hot, he still has the ability to really carry a ball club. A lot of swinging and missing today by Colby Rasmus, and here are the numbers with Manny in a Dodger uniform. There's the record. Team average is down, and certainly the winning percentage just 8 games over since he was picked up midway through 2 seasons ago. That's ball 2, 2-2.
There's no question his presence has a huge impact. I'm not so sure that he's still the same hitter as far as production is concerned, especially the hitter that he was when he came over from the Red Sox. But still, what he does, he complements Ether. He complements Loney.
Rasmus strikes out for the 3rd straight time, and he cannot figure out Hiroki Kuroda 2 out. The career numbers are staggering.
Well, they really are. You know, and I was looking at something the other day where, you know, there's only one other player in history besides Manny Ramirez that has over 550 home runs, a 300 lifetime average, and a 400 on base percentage. And that player, I mean, when you think of baseball,
really the first name that comes after you say baseball, Babe Ruth.
Trip Cromer.
After Babe Ruth, then comes Trip Cromer. But I mean, Babe Ruth and Manny Ramirez, the only two that have those numbers. I mean, you're not talking about a great hitter in his era. You're talking about one of the greatest hitters of all time.
This is among active players. First in RBIs, second in slugging percentage, third in home runs, third in runs scored. That's backing out of play. Strike two on Pujols, who's hitless today.
Yeah, and we talked about Manny and comparing him to Babe Ruth, and we had a graphic up earlier about Pujols and comparing him to Gehrig. And again, it's one thing to be a great player within your era, and which obviously both of these are, but sometimes we take for granted. We're seeing, at least today with Pujols, one of the greatest hitters of all time, not just in the last 10, 20 years.
2 out, nobody on. Pujols with a count 1-2. Chops one to short for Kyle. Can take his time, and that does it for the first 5. Still a 1-0 St. Louis lead. Into the 6th we go. Top of the order for the Dodgers for Kyle Kemp-Ethier coming up. GE Capital. By Verizon, the signal is yours. Wield it to transmit anything you want. Verizon. And by Chevrolet, every model is backed by a 100,000-mile, 5-year powertrain limited warranty. Nice warm day, St. Louis Arch, Mississippi River. There's a Yankee fan. We may have a DirecTV game break about the Yankees coming up. Top of the order for the Dodgers for Kyle. Rips one into right center field. A good start to the inning. Rasmus will try and cut it off. Does. Here's for Kyle trying to stretch it, and he's into second base with a leadoff double. So there's the tying run with nobody out. A leadoff double by one of the hottest in the game for Kyle.
Well, right from the get-go, he's hustling out of there. Rasmus does a nice job of getting the ball in. I'd like to see Green hold the tag on the runner there, because a lot of times the runner will slide over the base. You just keep that glove down there the entire time. For call stayed on anyhow. Let's see what the Dodgers can do. Struggled last night with runners in scoring position.
Last night 3 for 17, stranded 12. At 2 on with nobody out in the second, couldn't get anything done. Now a leadoff double by Furcal. Here is Kemp. See what he does with his chance, and a breaking ball stays inside, almost hit him.
This is a breaking ball. It just gets away from Wainwright. Completely backs up so slow, though. Kemp able to get out of the way.
Matt is grounded out twice. 1-0 pitch is popped in the air to shallow right. Jay gets in a position to throw. Furcal tags. Here's the throw, and into third with 1 out is Furcal. So a productive out by Kemp. Tying run at third, 1 out. Time for the DirecTV game break. Top of the third at Yankee Stadium. 3-2 Rays. 1 on, nobody out. Pena singles to center field of A.J. Burnett. Longoria scores. It's the last pitch of the game for A.J. Burnett. He's injured. He leaves the game. It's 4-2. Now 5-2 Tampa Bay in the top of the fifth. You heard the reaction for A.J. Burnett as he left. According to Joe Girardi, lacerations on his pitching hand. If he's hurt and goes on the disabled list, first of all, he's been ineffective. He's had a couple of good starts back-to-back. Had a very poor June. And the Yankees have to jump into the market looking for a starting pitcher. That changes the entire game. Whether you're the Dodgers, the Cardinals, anybody else looking for a starter, if the Yankees get in, and they were close on Cliff Lee, he was in his own category, that changes the trade game here as we approach the deadline.
Well, it really does. It changes the asking price. If you're the Dodgers or another club that's going to compete with the Yankees, all of a sudden you're going to have to give up more than the Yankees aren't involved.
Runner at third's the tying run, 1 out. First pitch of ball.
A little surprised the infield isn't in this situation.
Ethier hits it foul down the right field line. Strike 1. Andre's driven in 55, and he started the day number 1 in the National League, hitting .324. Been a .380 hitter in July after that stretch where he hit .220, coming off the disabled list with that broken pinky, which followed his .392 start. Up over 80 pitches so far for Wainwright. The 1-1. Ball 2.
Well, Ethier great with runners in scoring position, hitting at a .350 clip, but still, you know, I look at the 2 at-bats that he's had against Wainwright today. Both times gone down swinging. That's why I'd have the infield in right now.
Here's a 2-1 from the Cardinal right-hander Wainwright. It's outside. 3 balls and a strike with Loney on deck. Ethier is starting outfielder for the National League. Winning effort on Tuesday night in Anaheim. 3-1 pitch is foul. And reaching for it, full count.
What Wainwright's saying right there, he's not going to give in to Ethier. Goes with the off-speed pitch and a hitter's count right there. You can tell the anxiousness of Ethier right now going after that pitch. Not really a good pitch to hit when you're ahead in the count. He knows it right there.
Now the infield comes in. 3-2 pitch is low, and it's first and third, 1 out. And it brings in James Loney, who has been the best RBI man for the Dodgers this year. And when we talked to Joe Torre last Saturday, he said, if I have an MVP for the first half, probably be James Loney, who started the day hitting .310.
Well, at no point has he really gone through a stretch where, you know, he's gone in any sort of slump. And what he's done is he's been able to stay within himself. And it's easy to say. He doesn't try to do more. All he's trying to do is make contact, drive, and run. Not trying to be a hero.
Strike 1.
You know, a lot of times in these situations as a hitter, You're going up there and you're thinking, I'm going for the 3-run shot, or I'm going to really do some damage here. And that's when you get out of your element, the pitcher takes advantage of it. So far this year, Loney's been able to stay within himself.
First and third, 1 out, and a ball down and away, 1-1. Cardinals have turned one double play. In this situation, that came up, ball hit by Xavier Paul. Infielders are shortened up, hoping for the same here in the 6th. Strike 2. Another wedding party at the ballpark.
They heard that's a way to get on TV.
It's happened again. Here it is on 1 and 2 from Wainwright. And Loney hits a double play ball to short. Out at second. Out at first. Wainwright gets another. Leadoff double wasted by LA. Still struggling with runners in scoring position. 1-0 Cardinals. /go to bat. And let State Farm help you go to bat for the charity of choice. We move into the bottom of the 6th inning. Great chance for the Dodgers. Got a leadoff double from Furcal in the top of this inning. Had first and third, 1 out, but Loney bounced into a 6-4-3 double play. And that means that Holiday leads it off for the Cardinals up 1-0. Matt's 1 for 2, and now he floats one into left center field. Easy for Kemp. 1 out. Batter will be John Jay. Home plate umpire is Greg Gibson. He's wearing a mic, and it's hot for everybody here today.
Hey, just make sure the guys get water like every 2 minutes.
Yeah, they'll take care of it.
Thank you. I need water. Okay. Water in that the Gatorade mix, 2 of them.
It'll take a lot to get crunchy.
Oh, dude. Water, too, for 2 days.
Needing to hydrate as you go. You feel like you need it at some point. It's too late. And you think about any one of these umpires, they're the guys who don't get a break to come off the field and get in the shade, get in the cool. So it's a long day, and Gibson's done a nice job behind the plate. 1 ball, 1 strike on John Jay.
Yeah, I was waiting for one of the guys to say they needed a hot cup of coffee and a cigarette or something, huh? Now, you just mentioned, though, these guys don't get to go in, sit in the dugout, and cool off or towel off.
That shirt is soaked. Never slowed Mike Shannon down. The booth to my left. Cardinal longtime radio announcer and former big leaguer. As John Jay rounds out, he'd wear a jacket, play golf, sip on coffee, whatever. He just,
as I said, I thought you were talking about the hot cup of coffee and cigarette right there.
Here is Greg Gibson getting a chance just for a moment. Barry Weinberg working him over, trying to towel him off, but he's got to go right back out there. That's him during the break. First pitch is strike to Yadier Molina, who's 1 for 2. He's hitting .500 so far in this series. Ball 1. Molina had 4 RBIs last night. That matched his total over the last 25 games. Now 5 for 10 in this series. Had been 7 for 71 with 4 RBIs his previous 25 games. As we mentioned, his brother Benji, his older brother Benji, hit for the cycle with a grand slam last night for Texas. The first catcher to do that, hit for a cycle with a grand slam since 1900. 2 out, strike 3. Kuroda's pitched very well. Problem is, Wainwright's been a little bit better. We go into the 7th in St. Louis. 1-0. Think outside the bunt. Double switch as the game moves into the 7th. 1-0 Cardinals. A total of 9 hits. Randy Wynn is in the game, batting in the number 8 spot where the pitcher Wainwright was. John Jay is out. The pitcher will bat 5th. Jay's 12-game hitting streak is history. Kyle McClellan on the mound, and the first pitch to DeWitt is in for strike one. Blake is 2 for 2. He had 2 hits against Wainwright. Kyle had 2 hits. The only other hit belonged to Loney, who bounced into a double play in the top of the 6th to end the threat. And the Dodgers are now 3 for 24 with runners in scoring position during this series.
And again, we mentioned it earlier, they're second in the National League. So it's really a credit to the Cardinal pitching and probably some over-aggressiveness as a hitter, because it's real easy to do. You're cognizant that you haven't scored runs, you're trying to do too much, and next thing you know, you're digging yourself a deep hole.
DeWitt trying to get on to start something here in the 7th, takes outside, ball 1.
And I think there's also something to be said. You've been off for the All-Star break. You come back, you get Carpenter, Garcia, and Wainwright. I mean, that's not fun if you're hitting extremely well.
DeWitt strikes out. Good pitch down and in. And we saw plenty of good pitches today from Adam Wainwright, who stands to be the winner if the bullpen hangs on. He struck out 3. And he got a lot of ground balls, couple of double plays turned behind him. The biggest came in the top of the 6th off the bat of James Loney. 6 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. He can only be the winner, and if he gets it, he'll go to 10-0 and lower his ERA below 1.43 so far in his season here at home. 1 ball, 1 strike on Casey Blake. 89 pitches. Kuroda is over 100. And because of that, there is action for the Dodgers in their pen. Kuroda's been great. He struck out 8 on 1 run on 4 hits. That's it.
Well, we talked about it at the top of the show. Kuroda was going to have to throw an exceptional ball game, and the reality is he has. Unfortunately, he's run up against, as we mentioned, the top pitcher in all of baseball since the beginning of 2009, and he's done nothing, Wainwright, nothing today but solidify that honor.
Chopper to the right side for Schumacher. Hits the big bounce and throws out Blake. 2 out.
Kuroda right there. And he's got himself into some jams, but was able to pitch out of it. Been a real workhorse today. And I'm not so sure he's finished yet.
I've already got him marked down as finished, and I agree with you. He may not be. 6 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, over 100 pitches, 8 strikeouts, 1 walk. Even on this hot day, he may go back out there. Quo is getting ready, as we showed you. There's a ball to Xavier Paul. A 1-0 pitch, hit on a line into right and fielded on 1 bounce by Randy Wynn. It's a 2-out single. That'll bring in A.J. Ellis. The light hitting catcher for the Dodgers, hitting just .205, 8 RBIs, no home runs.
Well, you see, Kuroda would be on deck right now, but just because he's not does not mean that he won't go back out. Garrett Anderson on deck in case Ellis extends this inning.
Pretty big lead by Paul. McClellan gives him a look.
Well, I think if you're Paul right now, you've got to run. Force the issue right now, because if you don't run, what you're saying is we're going to get 2 hits or take 2 hits to score. Take your chances. Make the Cardinals make a play. If they don't, then you're at second base in scoring position.
Paul is 3 for 3 in the stolen base department. Ball 1 low to A.J. Ellis. Both teams start the day with same record, 49 and 41. That's good for a half game out in the NL Central. Part of the Cardinals. It's 3.5 out for the Dodgers behind the Padres in the West. Leaning and just back with Xavier Paul.
I tell you, Brian Knight over at first is having to work today. And wow, not so sure Paul ever got back to the bag. Again, Brian Knight in perfect position to make the call.
Chop to the left side of the hole. Green, a long throw, and he makes a nice play to end the top of the 7th. Tyler Green shows off his range and his arm. Time to stretch in St. Louis or just try and get cool. 1-0 Cardinals. Lowe's, let's build something together. My new Gillette Odor Shield Antiperspirant to help eliminate odor. Don't just cover it up. And by State Farm, with 17,000 agents, we've got the best lineup in the game. Double switch used by Joe Torre. Into the bottom of the 7th inning, Garrett Anderson is in the game. He's in left. The pitcher will bat in the spot vacated by Xavier Paul. The new pitcher is Hong-Chi Kuo, who is just lethal against left-handed batters, and his stuff is good enough to get anybody out. He will deal with the bottom 3 in the Cardinal lineup.
No, we just saw those numbers, and those numbers are as good as anybody in the game, but there's one thing that's not up there. Left-handers have not had a hit against Kuo this season.
He was an all-star and deserved to be so. Brendan Ryan comes off the bench and bats for Skip Schumacher. And it'll be Randy Wynn, then Tyler Green.
That's always good, too. Ryan, as we mentioned, has struggled this year, hitting 190, but you're sitting all game long, and then you get to have an at-bat, and it's against a guy like Kuo. Not too fun.
And you're dealing with shadows.
Even better.
Standing in the shade. Ball's coming out of the sunlight. And first pitch swinging, a pop-up down the left field line. Casey Blake watches it go out of play, strike 1.
I was talking to hitting coach Mark McGuire about Brendan Ryan yesterday, and what he thought was going on. There's Mark. He just said that he's expanded his zone. He's swinging at pitches that aren't strikes because he hasn't had success. He's trying to make things happen. It's just compounded the issue. I mean, it's hard enough to hit the ball when it is over the plate, let alone when it's off the plate, not in the strike zone. Not going to hit it hard.
Brendan Ryan last year surprised everybody, hit .292. Played great defensively. Had wrist surgery in January. Started the season with the big league club, their strength 2. And at no point this season has he hit higher than .221. As he stands in there now, he's hitting .190.
Yeah, you know, I'm not so sure that he's a .290 or .300 hitter, but I know he's not a .190 hitter either. I think he's probably somewhere in the .270 range. Played great defense for you.
Pop up right side. Looks like there's a play if Loney can get there, and he can't adjust and make the catch. It's about as good an effort as you can make.
That is a great effort. The ball over your head as a first baseman. Really, the guy with the best angle on that would be your second baseman. DeWitt just too far to run. Loney overruns it just a bit. And for good measure, with that wet uniform, gets to slide in the dirt.
Take part of the warning track with him. Ryan chokes way up on the bat. Waits for the 1-2 and takes inside 2-2. The Dodgers in the 8th might be their best chance. Right now it appears it'll be against Kyle McClellan. It'll be Garrett Anderson for Colin Kemp, with Ethier due up 4th. 2-2. Pretty well hit into left center field. Back is Kemp in front of the track. 1 out. Hiroki Kuroda went 6 and was terrific. A lot of strikeouts. 3 times against Rasmus. Got Pujols once. He struck out 8 on the day.
And I think that the common theme in all of these is that you're watching the ball. You're talking about a lot of movement, balls going out of the zone. And if there's any shining light, you know, it's the way that Kuroda is thrown, especially after his last 3 starts. Real workhorse today, 101 pitches, but only 1 walk, 8 strikeouts.
But he's given up 1 run, and today that's 1 too many. If he gets a decision, it will be a loss. Needs his teammates to come back and get something done. First pitch of ball to Randy Wynn, first at bat, the veteran outfielder, now inside 2-0. Skips in, scooped up by Ellis, 3-0.
That was a fastball that bounced well before home plate.
There's ball 4. A 4-pitch walk puts Wynn aboard here with 1 out in the 7th. Fox Sports is proud to team with the Breast Cancer Research Foundation during our 2010 MLB season on Fox. The Breast Cancer Research Foundation helps fund the most advanced and promising breast cancer research. Join the fight by texting CURE to 27722 to donate $10 or visit bcrfcure.org. Messaging and data rates may apply. Here is Tyler Green. 0 for 1. He has struck out, been hit by a pitch, strike 1. Tyler Green has bulked up over a season ago, added some weight, still can run, and made a good play in the hole to end the top of this 7th. That's a ball. 1-1 strike on a 95-mile-per-hour fastball from Quo.
Well, you mentioned that play he made in the hole at short. What I liked about it is he knew who the runners were. He was a runner at first, going to second, a speedier guy. He instead knew that A.J. Ellis, the catcher running, made the long throw to first and got him by plenty.
High, hard one. Strike 2. After Green, it's Felipe Lopez. Both teams looking for their 50th win this season. That's foul.
Well, the Cardinals, it seems like they're going to be going against one team, the Reds. And we're in the National League West, and there's 4 teams right now. And they'll all meet one another in that last month. They'll play against one another, but you could make an argument for any one of those ball clubs, the Padres, the Rockies, Dodgers, Giants. They can win the division.
The team that's been unbelievable over the last month and a half has been the White Sox. They're on top in the AL Central by a game at the start of the day over Detroit, and they have gone 26-6 over their last 32 games.
Well, we went in there and did a ball game, Cubs, White Sox, and you could make an argument then that one of the managers might not make it through that weekend. And White Sox came out on top, won 2 out of 3, and really since then have just jettisoned the top of the division.
Here's a pop-up out behind second base, Blake DeWitt. 2 out. So you've got the White Sox leading in the Central, but that is a 3-team race. You've got the Yankees leading in the East, but they're getting pounded today. Tampa Bay leads 8-2, now 9-4 as they play in the 6th inning. So they could get that down to a 2-game advantage for the Yankees. Boston 6.5 out, trying to get healthy. And Texas leads in the AL West by 4.5 over the Angels. Mets are 5 out in the NL East. Cardinals a half out, and the NL West wide open. There it is graphically, and for Tampa Bay, 54-35, but right now they have the second best record in the American League.
Well, and you look at that Western Division, you see it's a 4.5 game lead, but it's 6 games in the loss column. The Texas leads over the Angels, and now you've got Cliff Lee. I know he's made 1 start there, but now you'll get him for a whole second half.
Cliff Lee starts tonight. Not good last Saturday in his first start with Texas, got knocked around. Does not have good career numbers in that park. It is a hitter's park in Arlington. You have to figure with more opportunities he will turn that around. Ball 3 to Felipe Lopez.
Right, he'll figure it out. Then he'll have, he'll have the road starts as well. And they're anticipating getting to the postseason. He gets those postseason starts.
Leo down and in. Ball 4. 2 4-pitch walks in this 7th. And Quo gets what he wants, although not in this position. That is to deal with a left-handed batter, Colby Rasmus. He gets a visit from Rick Honeycutt. In the National League, in the East, Atlanta's up by 5 over the Mets and the Phillies, who won today already over the Cubs. Cardinals are right there in the Central behind Cincinnati with that young pitching of the Reds. And it's a 4-team race out in the West. Arizona not on the graphic. They are a mere 18.5 games out. They've fired their general manager and their manager. And now Kirk Gibson is their field manager. And Jerry Dipoto is their GM. Here's Rasmus.
Higher expectations for that ball club in Arizona, but good bunch of individual players, but just haven't put it together as a team.
So here's Rasmus, who struck out 3 times, and now he has to deal with Quo. Ball 1 high.
And as you mentioned earlier, shadows as well.
Quo is the only National League pitcher to give up a run. It was an unearned run because of his error in the All-Star game on Tuesday night on a wild throw to first. National League got all 3 of their runs on a bases loaded double by Brian McCann, and that was it. Another tight game, this time an NL victory. Not close, 2-0.
Well, even the day with that Rasmus is having up to now, base hit right now, an RBI, make you sleep a lot better. To head here in the count, 2-0. Figure Quo's just going to groove one. If there's a pitch you're going to swing at, this is the one.
Here it comes from Hong-Chi Quo, and Rasmus swings through it, 2-1. 95 with some extra life to it.
I think if you're a left-handed hitter, you've almost got to make up your mind before the pitch is coming against Quo. Saying, all right, this is the one I'm going to commit to.
The 2-1. 2-2. Meanwhile, Brendan Ryan, or rather Kyle McClellan, Brendan Ryan, who made the first out of this inning. It's been a long half inning. And Kyle McClellan, who relieved in the top of this 7th, has been sitting in the dugout for a while. It appears he'll go back out there for the 8th. Here comes a 2-2. Quo. Rasmus breaks his bat, pops it up for Kyle. Shields his eyes from the sun, makes the catch into the 8th inning. Still St. Louis 1, LA nothing with Anderson for Kyle and Kemp coming up. In the bottom of the 4th inning, Brendan Ryan stays in the game. He's now at short. Tyler Green moves from short to second, and Garrett Anderson takes a strike. It'll be Anderson then for Kyle, then Kemp. And Kyle McClellan could turn in 2 huge innings for St. Louis here today in relief of Adam Wainwright, who was outstanding. Good starting pitching on each side. Kuroda 6, 1 run, 4 hits. 8 strikeouts. Wainwright 6 innings, no runs, 5 hits, 3 strikeouts and a walk. 2 balls and a strike. Trevor Miller, the left-hander, gets loose for St. Louis in their bullpen. Here's a 2-1 pitch from McClellan. 2-2. Just the way Anderson took that pitch tells you he can't see it very well.
Yeah, looking for something out over the plate. Comes in.
And that one got away. Full count.
But Garrett Anderson, he just hasn't been able to get on track at all this year. He's had some spot starts, but as a pinch hitter, just hasn't been as effective. But this is a new role for him.
Saw Jeff Weaver getting loose for the Dodgers in their bullpen. Here's a 3-2. That's foul.
You know, that's the thing with this Dodger ball club is there's not a lot of depth. You know, if there's anything that does go wrong, whether it's a health reason or somebody gets hurt, it really knocks them out of the race. But there's not a lot down in the minor leagues right now.
3-2 pitch is hard hit. That's a fair ball. Diving stop. Pujols. What a play as he feeds McClellan in stride on the bag. 1 out.
Well, this is a great play where he gathers himself. He knows that he's going to have the pitcher coming to first, and he just flips it to the first base bag. It's McClellan's job to get to first base. Pujols kind of lobs it up there. You know, we always talk about Pujols and his hitting accolades, and we don't even talk about how many games he impacts with his glove. See, guarding against the double, Anderson hooks this ball. I mean, he's about 5 feet foul right there. Able to gather himself and flip it right to first.
So McClellan had to make the sprint over the bag. Now he's back on top and dealing with Furcal. He's got Furcal now. The right-handed hitting Kemp on deck. And then you get into Ethier. That's why Miller's getting loose. Furcal looked like he was going to try that little swinging bunt. Took a strike.
Well, you've got Lopez in at third base, so you could pop something over his head. He's well off of the bag as well.
Strike 2.
You got to move back if you're Lopez.
Not back much, even with a bag with an 0-2 count. Ball 1.
I'm not so sure I'd be playing right there. I mean, it's one thing to be off the line that far, but give yourself an opportunity to have a little bit of range.
1-2 pitch. Furcal pops it up. Out behind second. Out goes Ryan. In comes Rasmus. 2 out. Cardinals have played good defense all day long. Turned a couple of big double plays. Pujols made that play to start this inning. And we remind you, weekdays make lunchtime your new prime time. As FoxSports.com brings you Lunch with Benefits. Log on to check out new episodes of original sports shows, including our newest Fair Game. Lunch with Benefits delivered to your desktop every Monday through Friday at 1 Eastern, only at FoxSports.com on MSN. Here's the lineup, and here is Matt Kemp. Fastball misses, ball 1. Kemp is 0 for 3. 16 home runs on the year.
I know they were setting up away right there, but you don't want to go away with Kemp. If you do, you better be off the plate.
Reaching for it. Here is Ryan, who gathers it in, makes the play, and the Cardinal defense has been on display all afternoon. 2 good innings by McClellan. Albert Pujols will lead it off for the Cardinals in their half of the 8th. Up 1-0. and Garden crew. By Ink, the new business card from Chase. Make your mark with Ink. And by DirecTV, now with all the TVs in your home, they can be connected to just one DVR. Bottom of the 8th inning, only 1 run scoring. Albert Pujols is first up against the new pitcher. First, we'll show you Albert, who made that tremendous defensive play to start this 8th inning, and his hits and home runs by direction. These are the hits in yellow. Full hitter, home runs, 208. He is pulled to left, 136 to center, 483 to right. And he has a lot of majestic home runs to his credit. His 10 years in the big leagues as he deals with Jeff Weaver, third pitcher of the day for the Dodgers. Turns his back on the hitter and slings it home low, ball 1. Weaver was a huge part of the Cardinal World Championship here in 2006.
And he's a huge part of this Dodgers staff, albeit in a different role. Been with the club the second year, second time around. But now with the loss of Belisario and the restricted list and Troncoso down in the minor leagues, Weaver really becomes an anchor in that bullpen and a guy to get the ball to Quo or Broxton.
It's inside, 3-0. This is how good Albert Pujols is. His lowest season total in average home runs. This would be career years for the majority of players in the big leagues, or any league for that matter. His career worst total is 103 RBI. That is a rocket on 3-0 foul.
Well, and that's what we talk about. He's not just a great hitter for our era. You're talking about one of the greatest to ever don a big league uniform. You just see the rotation, limited stride, basically just picks the foot up and puts it down.
Now a 3-1 from Weaver. A walk starts the bottom of the 8th. In a 1-0 game, Holiday will be the hitter as the Cardinals get their closer Ryan Franklin ready in the bullpen.
Well, you've got Holiday up at the plate, but don't forget about Albert over at first base. He's tied for the team lead in stolen bases with 9. Ryan Franklin right there.
Pujols led the Cardinals in stolen bases last year with 16. If there's any proof that Whitey ball, as they called it, is dead, that's it. They have Vince Coleman and Willie McGee and a lineup that can run top to bottom. Pujols led this club with 16 stolen bases last year. Different game. Here's a 1-0 pitch to Holiday. 2-0, and Weaver has fallen behind each of the first 2 hitters.
Well, and it's almost expected. Weaver hasn't thrown in 11 days. He's had the All-Star break off, but hadn't thrown prior to that for a couple days. And he looks the part right now.
2-0. 2-1. You talked about those arms that are not there. Troncoso in the minor leagues, Belisario going through rehabilitation program. Those are 2 guys that last year combined for 142 appearances for Joe Torre. That's a lot of trips out of that bullpen for the Dodgers is not there. Holiday gets a base hit in the left, a walk and a single. Anderson fields it, gets it back in, and the Cardinals could get a little breathing room here in the bottom of the 8th. Holiday now 2 for 4 as he gets Jeff Weaver with a sharp single to left. Alan Craig had been in the on-deck circle, but in a bunting situation, Craig is pulled back, and Aaron Miles will come off the bench and try to advance the runners.
And you see those numbers right there. You expect the bunt, but had a lot of success hitting at a 400 clip. What that does is it places a lot of uncertainty on the Dodger defense. Do you play for the bunt? Do you stay back?
Cardinals are left with Alan Craig and Jason LaRue, their backup catcher, on the bench. Lead runner is Pujols at second. The trail runner is Holiday at first. And Miles drops it down. A beauty. They just get the out at first as Ellis makes the play, and the runners advance to second and third, and a standing ovation from those behind the dugout for Miles as he comes back to the bench.
A good job by Miles in that situation, putting the runners in scoring position. But that's what the Cardinals have been doing as of late. They've been, playing baseball. The first night here, Thursday night, they scored 2 runs, their first 2 runs on force outs, on ground, a fielder's choice. And that's one thing that they probably didn't do as much as they would have liked this first half of the season. Manufacturing runs, playing quote-unquote good baseball. That's something that's always been a staple of Tony La Russa ball clubs.
Yadier Molina will get the walk. That will load him up. And an interesting decision here. The next hitter is Brendan Ryan. La Russa has Miles in the game if he wanted to. Brendan Ryan's hitting 190, less than 190. He could use Alan Craig off his bench and keep Aaron Miles in the game to play second base and move Green back to shortstop. But right now, Brendan Ryan is in the on-deck circle. And it appears he will stay in the game and go hit.
And this is something where you're ahead in the ball game, albeit by only 1 run, but you pinch hit for Brendan Ryan right here. I mean, you're taking all the air out of his sails for the rest of the year. Being here, you're giving him a bit of confidence, giving him an opportunity, and you never know if he has a successful at-bat. Maybe he carries that, helps him out of this funk that he's been in.
And you're not talking about Rod Carew coming off the bench either. It's Alan Craig, who last night got his first 2 Major League RBIs. So Joe Torre out to the mound to talk to the entire infield. You don't see the suicide squeeze with the bases loaded very often. Brendan Ryan is hitting 189. Tony La Russa is looking for anything to take the edge off what has been a tight 1-0 game since the Cardinals scored in the 4th.
I think here you probably play the corners in. The middle of the infield plays at double play depth. Hit to one of the corners. If they can go home, great. If Loney can just turn it and go second to first.
Bases loaded, 1 out. Brendan Ryan flied to center. That was against Quo last inning. And a broken down line drive, foul. Strike 1. Pitch stayed up from Weaver, and Brendan Ryan broke his back.
Well, an off-speed pitch. Ryan out in front, just able to hit it off the end of the bat. As we talked about, corners are in here.
Molina still limping after that foul ball. He hit off his left leg just above the ankle back in the 2nd. The 0-1. Fly ball into left field, well hit. Back is Anderson on the move, makes the catch. Tagging and scoring is Pujols, and Brendan Ryan brings home run number 2. 2-0 St. Louis.
Well, I know Brendan Ryan wanted more right there, and he got to first base, kind of put his hands over his helmet. But you can't get greedy right now. He hit the ball well. Able to get a sacrifice fly. Here, watch this, Joe, here. Oh, man. Don't get greedy.
That's all the Cardinals wanted him to do right there. And he doubles the lead. Now it's Randy Wynn. 2 on, 2 out. Wynn pops it down the left field line. It's playable. Casey Blake hauls it in, inning over. That was a big run scoring for St. Louis with Ethier, Loney, and DeWitt coming up. 2-0 Cardinals as we go to the ninth. Presented by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. This game gets into the ninth inning, and with Ethier scheduled to lead it off, Cardinals lead 2-0. Trevor Miller comes into the game. He'll pitch to one or two batters, maybe all three. I don't know. They're all left-handed.
Yeah, somebody gets on, though. I'm not so sure we see Blake DeWitt. And as Joe said beforehand, Manny is available.
So it's Trevor Miller on the mound. It's Ryan Franklin still getting loose. And it's Andre Ethier at the plate, who's 0 for 2 with a walk. Jamie Carroll with a bat in his hands. That's inside, 2-0. Ethier has walked. He's 0 for 2 with a pair of strikeouts. That was all against Adam Wainwright, who stands to be the winner. Cardinal bullpen hangs on. There's ball 3. Three balls, no strikes as the Dodgers try and get their leadoff man on here in the ninth, down by 2. And they do on a 4-pitch walk. Our Coppertone Sport shining play of the game is John Jay beating the throw to first. Replay showed he was out. He was called safe. Why is that big? Schumacher stepped up and delivered an RBI double. That was back in the 4th to score John Jay. And that was the only run until the Cardinals got one in the bottom of the 8th to make it 2-0. Now a leadoff walk. The batter is Loney. James Loney has hit 6 home runs, but he is number 4 in the league driving in runs. There's a check swing on a pitch that misses, ball 1. So 5 in a row have missed from the left hand of Trevor Miller. He held up. A pop-up right side as Miller came in on the hands of Loney. In fair territory. That's interesting. And James Loney's hurt. I was going to say he didn't move at all out of the batter's box, and Molina's keeping him upright. That's the last thing you've talked a couple of times, Eric, about the Dodgers' depth. Something with the lower body of Loney, he never moved.
Well, and you hope it's just dehydration and a muscle cramp right now. Usually on days like this, guys are susceptible to that. It almost looks like something just locks up right there. Hopefully for the Dodgers, it is just a cramp. You know, that's the last thing. You have Manny going down the other day. You have James Loney, your most productive hitter really all year long. Doesn't do anything out of the ordinary, just rotation.
I'm with you. I think it's got to be on a day like this when it's over 100 down on the field. There's dehydration and probably a cramp, but we get any word as to what it is, we'll pass it on before we go off the air. Ethier at first with 1 out. The batter is DeWitt. Ball 1. And Yadier Molina literally had to hang on to him or he would have gone down. Tying run at the plate for the Dodgers. Blake DeWitt takes a strike. Trevor Miller.
And you wonder why isn't Joe Torre pinch hitting right here? It's because Ryan Franklin down in the bullpen.
Strike 2
would be brought in. He's saying right now I'd rather have Miller facing DeWitt than Franklin facing the likes of a Carroll or a Belliard, Martin, or Ramirez.
You've got Casey Blake on deck, then the pitcher's spot. Here's a 1-2. Fastball gets it, looking 2 out. Miller sneaks one in there for out number 2, and that'll be it for Trevor. So La Russa jogs out. Ryan Franklin will pop in from out beyond the right center field wall. 2 out. Tying run will be at the plate for LA. police identify a murder victim and bring her slayer to justice on an all-new America's Most Wanted. 8 Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. Ethier takes second. A strike from Ryan Franklin with 2 out. Down to second goes Ethier. No stolen base. Ryan Franklin is 16 of 17 in save chances, and since the start of last year, he's number 2 in the National League in save percentage, 54 out of 60. Blake, strike 2. However, since the 15th of June, in 9 games, Franklin's ERA is over 10.5, while he is 5 for 5 in save chances. And it's a Cardinal bullpen for Tony La Russa. Since the 19th of June, has the 7th worst ERA in the major leagues. Trying to save it for Adam Wainwright is Ryan Franklin. 0-2 pitch to Casey Blake. Ball 1.
You mentioned the ERA. You know, with relievers, you have one bad outing, and then you can screw up your numbers for the whole year. But as you mentioned, 5 out of 5 save opportunities and save converted.
Fly ball into right, should end it. Randy Wynn is there, and the Cardinals have won the first 3 games after the break over the Dodgers. 2-0 is the final here this afternoon. Franklin gets the save. Adam Wainwright at 14-5 overall and 10-0 at home this season. Back after this from your local Fox station.